Hello! Welcome to the next painting session. I hope that you're excited and you are ready. So today I put the one camera down here on the palette instead of on me. And then I put the other camera over here where I'm going to be painting. That way I don't have to keep switching back and forth and moving the camera around. I can just leave the camera the way it is and keep it still. And you can see the picture of what we are going to be painting today. I thought that this would be a great one. It has a nice different kind of composition in there, and it also has perspective that we were working on last time. I thought it's a good idea to do a little bit more with perspective to get used to that idea of what is happening with things that are going back in space. I think this one, with the perspective, it will be a little bit easier actually. It's not as complicated. Okay, so first thing that I wanted to talk about is the composition, or how the different parts are put together. And I also, ta-da, it's black and white. The photo's black and white now. I also uploaded a black and white version of the photo for us to see the values, light, medium, and dark values. It's a lot easier to keep those in mind, what the values are going to be if we look at it in black and white first. So what I'm going to do is make a sketch here on this piece of paper instead of on the canvas first. And if it helps, you can also make a little sketch first to think, oh yeah, what do I need to do in here? Because remember, I was talking about things not to do and things to do when I was sketching last time. But this time I'm going to make a little sketch that shows what to do and how the composition is looking. Okay, so I am putting a rectangle on my paper just to show, okay, I'm pretending these are the outside parts of the painting, like this is the shape of my painting, right? Then I think, okay, composition is how the parts are being put together in this picture. I want to know, how am I putting the parts together? What's big, what's small, where is it at? There's a tree on the right side, and it's a big tree that curves over, comes over on the top of the painting. There's also a path. It starts off a little bit bigger, but it's not super wide the way that the road was in the other one. It's just wider here and gets thinner as it's going back in space. And you can see that it curves a little bit. And there's a little piece of a road that's coming in from this direction too, with some cars on there. If you want to put the cars in because they're kind of interesting, you can add those. What's going on in this composition, several things guide our eye into the picture. First, you have this dark, kind of, you could call it an L shape, but it's an upside down L made by the tree, and it's dark, and it helps to keep our eyes inside of the picture. It's dark, it's not light, right? Dark, dark, dark tree trunk. And it has branches. It has this one here that's coming way over. It's going in slightly different directions. It's not just a straight branch, it kind of wiggles. Another branch, more branches coming up. But it makes it so that your eye is kept in the picture. At the top, this tree, the dark tree, kind of pushes your eye down into the picture. Branches, branches, branches. Okay, you also have a wall going back in space, the walking path going back in space, and a little road. And those three things here, 1, 2, 3, point towards one area in the back. So it guides our eye into the painting to where we want the viewer's eye to go. So if you guide your viewer's eye towards something, it's always a good idea to have something there. Maybe there's a person walking right about there on the pathway, really tiny because it's far away, they're far away. Or you could use the cars, and maybe that car is a brighter color, therefore it tends to pop out to your eye and you go, oh, look at the car, right? So something is keeping our eye in, something is guiding our eye back, and then perhaps there's something that our eye is going to that holds our attention. Okay, so path, going back, I'm looking at the angle that it's going back. Remember that since this is below our eye line, it's coming down towards us. The path will come down towards us. If I make the path go up, it will look like it's floating away, and I don't want to float. I don't want it to float. I want it to stay firmly on the ground. Stay on the ground, right? Then if there's a person on here, that person will be vertical. Just like the tree has to stay, the tree trunk. I know trees lean, so it's not as important for it to stay straight. But if you have a person, we can keep them more straight up and down. Okay, so here's that path. Here's the road coming in on the side. And the wall. So you might be noticing that the wall is not a high up wall, it's a low wall. And if you look at the angles, okay, there's some bushes with the wall. Checking carefully, and I see that the top of the wall is only a little bit below my eye line, so therefore it doesn't angle down. It doesn't have a strong angle down. Okay, and then these are the bushes. So it's like it all points our eye in to this area. And then besides the big overall composition here, I'm also thinking about light, medium, and dark. So I could make a note for myself. Okay, where are the dark areas? These bushes are darker. There's a shadow in the foreground. It's not as dark. I'm going to be tricky here and use medium, right? Medium, medium. This part is darker on that part of the wall. This is more like medium. Okay, and the tree, the leaves, that's the shadow area underneath the tree. It's under the tree, right? So think about where the sun is coming down. If the sun is coming down on top of the tree, oh, then the shadow is underneath. So all the leaves are darker or medium, and then this is the shadow of the tree. So that's why that's getting darker than this part of the grass here. Okay. More tree coming down. Some trees in the back here, if we can. I think we can get to that too, but we don't worry about those right away. We worry about the bigger shapes and then can move towards the smaller shapes. Okay, I'll pretend like I've got a little car on here. And there's some other buildings over that way on the side. Okay, so if I was going to have a person on here, remember, vertical, person's head. The person doesn't have to be dark, but just so we have an idea of how that works. Okay, I know that the camera makes it at an angle. Here we go. My person is a little bit at an angle here. I'll put his leg on better. Okay, so that is a basic idea of where we are going. Now I'm going to pull that back and I will begin. I'm going to begin. I'm going to start by sketching it out. Let's see where you can see me mixing. I'm going to start by sketching it out. I know the last one I sketched in pencil. It may be easier to sketch in pencil. If you would like to sketch it in pencil first, do that. If you would like to sketch it in paint, you can do that. It's just that if you do it in paint and then the angle is wrong, you're like, oh no, I got the angle wrong, then it's a little bit harder to erase, right? But if you do it in pencil first, it may be a little bit easier. So that's just a neutral color mixed from all three of my colors so that I can sketch with it. But I'm only going to sketch lightly. I'm not putting a lot of paint on there to start with, right? That sketch gets covered up. And then I'm going to work at it the way that I did the sketch. I'm going to start from my big tree. Make sure that's in the right place first because it takes up a lot of space. Then work on the lines going back and then think about smaller things because you want to go from big shapes to the smaller shapes, thinking, okay, is everything in about the right place? Okay, tree, trunk, I will be sketching this for a while. And I've already explained it, so I guess I don't really have to talk about it too much. I'm just going to go ahead and sketch it out. Think about the placement. How high is it? Where does it touch the edge? What angle are the branches going in? Okay, there are the tree branches. Next, I'm going to do the lines that are going back in space. I'm thinking about the angle. Where does it start? Right, my path starts about here. I check the picture. See, I can't put my paintbrush in front of the picture right now. You can't see me do that, right? But I can look. Okay. Okay, this is the angle of my path. So it's not going like this. It's going more like this. Okay, so I think about that angle, keep the angle. And where does it go to? I think about where it goes to. How far over is it going in the picture? Here? 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 Not all the way to the edge, right? About here? Okay, I think about where the path starts, the other side of the path. How far over is it? How much space do I need to leave? It's close to the middle. I'm looking at the left, the right. Where does the path start? What angle is it? It's going to be a similar angle to this one, but it's going to get closer and closer together as it goes farther back. So you can look at the angle again. What angle is it? Okay, slightly different angle. And it turns. The road on this side, I look at the angle as it's going back. How close is it to my path? Where is it? Okay. There's my road. There's some buildings. Over here, small ones. Okay, now the top of these buildings are above my head. So that means I don't want the angle to go down. I don't want that angle to come towards me down because those buildings are above my head. But you're not going to see a very strong angle on it either because they're farther away down the street. It's actually just angled up slightly, only a little bit. Okay, I check the angle of the bushes. Check the angle. Where is it behind the tree trunk? Not up here, right? It's not up in the branches. It's down on the ground behind the tree trunk. Okay, there's my angle. And it's going close to the path. It has a similar angle to the path. I have the top of the bushes, and they get a little bit smaller as they go back in space. And then I've got the wall. The wall is close to my eye level. It's not exactly, but it's close to the eye level. And if you look at the buildings over here and compare and think about how high the buildings are, right? Those are far in the distance, so they look small. And then you go over to where the wall is. You go, oh, it's about the same height. It's close to the same height, even though the wall is not as tall, but it's closer to me. So it looks like it's a similar height. Okay. There are leaves hanging down. I don't really need to put all of that in right now. It's just I'm telling you the idea is there. And then we can also think about one more thing, that shadow from the tree where it crosses the path, the sidewalk. It's underneath this tree, right? So it's down here under the tree. And it goes all the way across to the other side of the painting, just like the branches of the tree go all the way across to the other side of the painting. And now we are ready to see it in color and mix some color. And then we'll remember which areas are dark, which areas are light. Color, here we go. Color, we've got some green, we've got some reddish brown, we have some dark brown. The sky right there is very, very pale, so you only use a little tiny bit of blue, right? It's very light. So we'll think about how we're using the colors and how we're using the values when mixing it. So when I think about colors, I'm looking on my color chart to see what colors I'm using. Okay, colors. That green on the grass is very bright. It's very bright. So I know it's going to be a lighter green, and it has a lot of yellow in it. It's closer to this, but it has even more yellow in it. See, it's in between these two. So when I mix that bright green, it's going to be like that. Now, if you look at the shadow area of the grass that's closer to us, notice how that looks more blue. It has more blue in it. So if you go this way on your color chart, you're adding more yellow, but if I go this way, oh, I need to add more blue for the darker area of the grass. It's darker, but it's also more blue. Okay, and then the reddish brown, it's not as bright as this, right? It's not really, really bright. It's more of a brown, but some areas are lighter on the wall. So for the wall, when I'm getting my red, it has to be more of a brown red, and some areas with more white or even more white than this in it. Okay, so I hope that is helpful in thinking about how to mix colors. I'm going to mix a few colors. First, I'm going to start with that brown for the tree. So I've got a little bit of brown here, a little bit of dark brown, but I need some more. I'm going to need some more. I will mix more paint. So we know if we want to make a dark brown, just a plain dark brown, it will have all three of the colors in it. And it's helpful if you want it to be even darker to add more blue in your mix. Okay, so I've got a dark brown, and I'm also going to mix a couple of colors for the wall, the grass, And I'm also going to mix for the sky. I probably won't make it quite as light as that. So here, this is very dark, right? But the darkest area in my painting is going to be the tree. So this is probably about how I want it. I want it to be very dark. Now, not the whole tree isn't all super dark. So I will have some where I want it to be a little bit lighter. And I see that in the lighter areas of my tree, it actually looks a little bit more yellow. So I'm going to do that. And naturally, yellow is already lighter than this mix. So if I add yellow to it, it will already lighten up. Let me see what I've got here. How light is it? It is still pretty dark, and I want it to stay dark. But I think I'm going to add a touch of red so it doesn't turn all too green. Not too green. But it is kind of green. I think there's some things, maybe some moss or something growing on the tree trunk. But if it gets to be too green, then just add a bit more red to it. Okay, so I think you can kind of see the difference here, where this one is a little bit lighter. Okay, now the wall, the red wall. I'm going to start by mixing the darker color, and then I will make the lighter color. Because the lighter color, you add more white to it. So I don't want to start off with too much white and make the red gray. So here I have some red, but it has a bit of the other two colors in there as well. So more red than yellow and brown, but not too bright. Okay, and then this is my shadow color, so I have to make sure it's not too bright. And I'm checking to see what it is. Okay, so if it's too light, if it looks like 1 through 5, too light, right? Because that's the shadow. If it looks like a 6 or a 7, then I'm good. And it already does. Okay, so I think I didn't mix very much, so I'm just going to mix the other one separately. The other red. So this other red, notice besides it being lighter with the sunlight hitting it, it's also more yellow. Just like that street was. It's interesting, right? It's like, wow. It still looks kind of red, but then, actually it looks kind of yellow too. So it may end up being more like an orange. So I've got red. I've got more yellow in this one. I still have a little bit of blue because I don't want it to only just be orange, right? It's not that bright. Bricks are not super bright. Okay, so I think here you can see a big difference between this one and this one. Wow, that's a lot lighter. But is it the right value? So I want to take my value checker and look at the picture. Right? Look at the picture and see. I can't hold this value checker in front of the picture to see, right? But you can hold your value checker in front of the picture and you can look at it and say, okay, what is it? Oh, it's actually very light. Let me show you in the black and white. Okay. We can really see it here. In the black and white, it's lighter, but it's not as light as the sky. Right? The sky is like here. It's not quite as light as the pathway. The pathway is a little darker, so the pathway might be here. It is close to what the grass is, so maybe more like here, like number 3. Number 4 is okay. Number 3 is okay, I think. So if I get to that range, then I'm good. Let's see what I've got. Oh, is it a little bit dark? I think it might be a little touch dark. I will add a little more white, a little bit more yellow to it. Let's see what we think. Yes, okay, good. That's the wall. Next, I'm going to put it back on the color so we can see the color again. Let's have some grass. Since I have dark here and light here, I'll keep going with that idea. I'll make darker grass color here and lighter grass color there. So we know that the darker grass, it has more blue, but blue is strong, so I still want to use a lot of yellow in there. Let's see what happens when I put about equal amounts of blue and yellow. Okay, and I know that acrylics dry quickly. So if it's drying too quickly, you may want to be applying some of these, or you might have to fast forward and look at, how I'm applying things and then come back and mix some colors. Okay, so here we have a green, and I check to see, how about the picture? Is it blue enough? Not quite. Needs more blue. Okay, more blue. Okay, it is now blue enough, but is it the right value? It's dark, but is it the right value? Let's check it out. Okay. Here's the black and white version again. This can help. Oh, let's see. What value is it? 6? No, no, no. Too dark, too dark. Okay. Maybe 5. Maybe 5. But maybe even 4. Okay, 5 is okay though. Let's see how we're doing. Ah, very dark, too dark, right? Okay, so that will be too dark for the grass. Let's make it lighter. 2 ways I can make it lighter: yellow or white. But I don't want a whole lot of yellow in it because it's more blue. So I'm going to try a bit of white first. Let's see what happens. How is it now? Better. Better. It's actually a little bit too light. So I'm going to put a bit more of the blue and yellow back in there. And then check it again. Okay, so you will notice that the dark area of the grass oh, is not is not darker than the dark area on the wall. And I didn't really do the bush, right? But I will get to it later. Okay. Okay, so darker area of the grass. Now, I need a lighter area of the grass as well. That is much more yellow. We saw that it has a lot of yellow and less blue. So I'm going to try that and let's see what we get. Okay, it has to be lighter than this in value because otherwise it doesn't make sense, right? It's a shadow light area. If the light area is the same value as the shadow, it won't look like it is light and shadow. It will just look like a different color. Okay, I think this is probably going to be too dark. But let's find out. Where am I? Oh. Yes, too dark. I'm about at number 5. Too dark. But is it yellow enough? No. It needs more yellow. Because that part of the grass is very yellow. I'm going to add some white because I can see that I will need at least a little bit of white to make it bright enough. There. But depending on what colors you have, I don't think you'll need a lot of white. Oh, now I can see the difference, right? Definitely different. Lighter, darker. More yellow, more blue. Let's see. Okay, now I'm at about 3. Good. That's closer to what I was going for. Let me look in the black and white version again. Just check and make sure. 3. Does it look right? 3. Yes. I'm going to go with that. Okay, and then before I start putting some colors on, I know I don't have all of the colors yet, but I'm going to put one more thing before I start applying some of the colors. I'm going to make the blue. That will be mostly white. And the reason why I'm making that sky blue now is because that goes behind a lot of things, so it's good to put that down first. If I don't mix it now, then I don't have it, right? Okay, here. Mostly white. I'll put a little bit of blue in there. Oh, it looks too white still, right? No color. There's no color. Okay. A little blue. Can't see it. Okay. Okay. Now I can see it, and it's very, very light. So if I look, I actually have somewhere between my 2 and my 1. I think it's 1, which is what I want. I want very, very light for the sky. Okay, I'm ready. I'm going to start with these colors here. Then I'm also going to move on to some other colors as well. I'll put the color back so that we can see it. Take a look at where my sky is. So when I start putting the blue on for the sky, because this is white, it can fool our eyes. Oh no, My blue is too dark. No, that's not right. It's fine. It's fine. It's not too dark because I already checked it with the color checker. So when I put the other colors on, then it should look correct. If you put the other colors on and it still doesn't look right, fix it. Just add some more paint, make it lighter. There's some sky that's up in here. Okay, up in here a little bit on this side. Some of this will get covered up by the tree. Okay, oh, and there's a little bit of sky on this side here too. I'll put some in there. In the background. Okay. Next color, make sure that if I'm using the same brush, I need to make sure I clean it well before I change to the next color, otherwise it will get mixed up and mushy. So, let's see. I think I will do the tree. The dark brown on the tree. Thinking about what areas are the darkest on the tree. I'm saving some of those areas that are not as dark on the trunk, and I will add the other color on there too. Think about how thick the branches are. Where are the branches? What direction are the branches going? And it's okay if some of that gets covered up with the leaves. If it gets covered up some with the leaves, then you can come back over it again and define where the branches are again. In fact, it is a good idea if you do a little bit of overlapping when you're painting, so that you don't leave the white spaces, the holes in the painting. But also it might blend a little bit too, which can look nice. Okay. Lighter area. I think the lighter area will look very similar right now, especially. But once I add the other colors, then it might show up more, because both of these are dark here and here, but they are a little bit different. Okay, I've got my red. Darker. This part is darker. That's the tree. The shadow of the tree is partly on the wall too. Let's see how far the shadow goes over. There's a little bit of shadow over there too. There will be another tree that comes over that wall. Okay, and the lighter area, definitely lighter. Okay, and the wall, it stops. It doesn't get all the way there, right? It doesn't cover the path, it just goes next to the path. Okay, and now I will put on some darker areas of grass. I'm leaving the path. I didn't mix the color for the path yet, but I have mixed colors for the dark area on the grass. There's where my shadow is. So the part of the grass that's in shadow is going here. I wonder if I turn on another light, if it will make it better or worse. I think worse. I think I will leave that off. Maybe if I go like this, I'm going to see. Add a little light, but not so much. Yes, I think so. I think you can see the colors better here and here when I turn on another light. Maybe. Thinking? Okay. The other part of the dark area of the grass. And there's a little bit over here too. Shadow on the grass back here. And the light area, which I have mixed. Okay, and then here's another one where you might start thinking, oh no, it's not light enough. But wait, I already checked it. So if you checked it, go with what you have and don't start lightening it all up until you've covered the whole surface, and then you can see it all together and see, is it light enough or is it not light enough? Because the white of the canvas can fool our eyes. There. I'm trying to see how high the grass goes before it stops, before it gets to the end of the path. So this is also a street scene, you could say, but a different way of thinking about a street scene, because there's a street here. It's very tiny. Okay, I've used my colors, but there are a few more areas that I haven't finished yet. One is the bushes. Another one is the tree here. You'll see how the tree, I'm going to put it back to black and white. You'll see how this tree, the leaves, because it's dark, it's darker than this grass. So if I mix down here, I will want a green that's darker than the grass green. And remember, I added a little bit of white to that one. And it is so dark in some areas that I will add a little bit of red to the mix too. So it will be a very dark green, and you can look on your color chart too and see what kind of green it looks the most like. Okay, so when I have it mixed here, it's dark. It's not as dark as the tree trunk, so I have to make sure it's not as dark as the tree trunk. One way I can do that is I can compare. I can look at this and I can look at this and see, is it too dark? Has to be darker than this, but not as dark as the tree trunk. I think it might be a little bit too dark. So I know I just put a little blue on there, but I want to put more yellow because I need more color. I didn't make enough yet. And I'm trying to make it a little lighter. Yeah, a little bit lighter still. I think so. Not too dark. And I didn't want it to be a really bright green. That's why I'm putting in the red, putting in the opposite color. Okay, let's see. Okay, it is lighter than the tree trunk. It is darker than this green, but maybe it's still just a little touch dark. I'm going to put a tiny bit of white in there so that it stays in between and not, I don't want it to get as dark as that. If you don't need to add white, don't add white. Okay, ready. And then think where all of the leaves of the tree are. I'm going to actually use this color that I just mixed and some of this color on the tree leaves because you can see some light shining through, so not all of it as not all of the leaves are as dark as this part. Some look more like this. And some parts even overlap part of the tree trunk. So I can do that too. And it covers up part of the sky. Very dark up here at the top. What have we got? Okay, and also the bushes, right? The dark area of the bushes. That is all in shadow underneath the tree. Some of this is lighter, and then there's the shadow over here too, where the bushes are. I'm looking to see where the shadow is and the under part of the bushes. That's in shadow too, right? You can see where the the bushes are turning, and then underneath the bushes it will also be in shadow. And very dark under the shadow part of the bushes there. Okay, so up in here, not all of it is totally dark. Right, so I will take some of this green, and I'm going to be using some of that up in here too. Look to see what areas are a little bit lighter. The sunlight is starting to shine through in some of the areas. Okay, and oh, it's still very dark. If that is not light enough, it's not on mine, right? It's all of the branches are kind of blending together there. But some areas I can even take my lighter green and think where is it lighter? Here. That's a tree that's behind this one. It's in the top of that tree is in the sunlight. Okay, but with the light shining through, some areas get a little bit lighter still. A little bit lighter. Yes. Yeah, there we can see the light shining through. Okay. And since it is a tree, then you may have brush strokes going in some different directions to indicate the leaves, and it's not all totally even. Okay. I'm also going to use a little bit of the blue. A little bit of the blue to make sure that I've got enough for a couple of areas where you can see the sky coming through behind the tree. So the reason why I had it behind, but then I use the leaves and then I go back over it again with the blue is when you layer it like that, it's a lot easier instead of trying to very, very, very carefully draw around where the sky is. It's easier to just pop it back on there. And you don't need to put every little speck of blue back on, but just a couple of places will help it to feel like, oh, the light is coming through the tree. And look to see where those areas are so that it's not just random like da 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 da, right? Look and see where are the areas where the light is shining through. This needs to be more like that. Right here, the sky is coming through some right here. And over here. Better. Better. Now it feels like the shadow of the tree coming down. Nice and shady and cool. Okay, I didn't finish this bush, right? I put the dark areas on the bush, but I didn't put the lighter areas on there yet. Okay, I'm going to take my medium green here because the bush is darker than the grass. But just the very top edge of the bush where the light is shining down right on the top, I will take the lighter green and touch it a little bit there. Now it feels like the top, the side, and the shadow. The bush is actually squared. They cut it so the top is flat. That's why it does that, where it you can have that edge instead of it being totally rounded. But if you don't like it flat looking, you can always add some details in there and make it not flat looking. Okay, oh, and I'm forgetting the part of the bush way down over here. Let me put that on too. This edge of the bush. Okay, and the top part in the shadow, I can use the medium. Top part in the shadow, medium, green. And then it looks 3D. Yeah. Top, side. And you have the shadow. Shadow, light, shadow. Pretty cool, right? Okay. Now I will mix a few more colors. We still need the sidewalk. Notice that the sidewalk color and the road color are very similar. So I can use both for that. And this building, the color is very similar as well. It will need to be a little darker than the sky. We remember that the sky is a number 1, or was close to a number 1, kind of in between 1 and 2. So I need to make sure everything else is darker. It has to go to at least a 2 or a 3. If I show you the black and white again, then you can see, aha, the sky is the lightest, so the sky has to stay the lightest in what I'm mixing. This is gray. We remember that the lighter area in the sunlight is slightly more yellow, but I can start with a gray. I have plenty of this mixture. I could take some of this, which is just red, yellow, blue, right? And then it has a little bit of extra blue in there, which can help, and add some white. So basically, for gray, it's red, yellow, blue, white. And if you look on your color chart, if you want the blue, if you want your gray to look more like this, it should be a little bit more blue. If you want it to look more like this, then more green. But let's see what color it should be. What color are we using? Okay, so on here, it's a gray. It's not too blue. If I look at this color that I have here, it's close, but I think I want it to be slightly more red. ish. I'm gonna scoot the color over so you can see it better. Tiny, tiny more. Let's see, what have I got? Okay, keeping it gray, but is it the right value? I think the answer is no. Let's find out. What do I have? I have number 5. Number 5, exactly. Uh-oh, too dark. I don't want number 5. I think I said number 4. Let's find out. What was it? Yeah. It has to be lighter than this, right? This shadow on the grass is darker. So my shadow on my grass has to be darker. Oh, this works. Actually, this is good. This works. This is not too dark, right? If I compare, let's find out. Oh, I forgot to clean my brush. Sorry, try again. Clean, clean, clean. Now try it. Oh, it is a little bit dark. A little bit dark. Okay. I thought it was. Okay, so yes, I didn't want it as a 5. I did say I wanted more like a number 4. So here we go. Number 4. Better. Okay. Add the shadow. Okay, any more shadows? Yes, right here where the other one is. And good. That's it for the shadows. Now for the light area. Here and here. Oh, wait, that's not it. That's not all. I remember this building. Okay, if you look at the building, it's closer to this value. It's closer to this shadow value, so I will use it for this building too. Great. That's some construction that's going on. They're working on this building. Is it? Or is that the one that's already there? I don't know. Okay. Anyway, there it is. And then I still need the light area, but not as light as the sky. I can take some of my mix again. Let's see where I can put it that you will see it here. Here, you can see it there. Okay. More white because I want it to be lighter. Since this is the lighter area, it has to be lighter than this mix. And also, in the sunlight, it will be a little bit more yellow. You can see it there, how it just slightly more yellow. So I'm going to add some yellow, some more white. Let's see what we've got. Is it correct or is it too light? Okay, it's lighter than that. That's good. How about this? Too light. I thought so. It's the same as the sky. That means too light. Darken it. Sorry, I know I'm covering that up when I'm mixing. My hand is in the way. Okay. How is it now? Oh. Okay. This is tricky now. It's the same value as this. That means too dark. Oh no! Okay. Add a little white again. I think I will get it this time. Okay. And actually, in this case, if it is the same as the sky, it's okay. It's okay because it we really want to make sure that it's light enough for this. But let's check. Let's see. No, I don't like it. Okay, I think maybe this is what I will do. I will make it as light as the sky, but then I will make the sky a little bit lighter. I think that will fix my problem. A little more yellow since I darkened it and I'm lightening it again. Let's find out. Okay, I think this will work. Let's try it. It is a number, right now it looks like a number 3. Too dark. It needs to be number 2. Okay. Try it. Yes, it's working. It's lighter than the shadow and a little bit more yellow. And here's something. See how those little specks of light are coming through? Oh. Now that looks like a speck of light is coming through the tree onto the ground. Oh. Kind of cool, huh? Yeah. Okay, same thing in the grass here. If you have a little bit of the lighter area on the grass, it makes it look like it's shining through in a couple of places. When it's coming down, the light is coming through the tree. Oh, light patches in my shadow. Pretty neat. I like it. It looks like a magic trick to me, but it's not. Right? It's just color and value that fools our eyes into thinking that something is three-dimensional. Okay, this is the very edge of the grass right here. Has a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of shadow right on the edge of the grass. It helps it look like, oh, there's the grass. There's the sidewalk. Tiny, 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 tiny bit. Like that. Okay, I don't want to forget, I still have this road over here. And I still have this space back here where the other trees are. They're kind of like smooshing into the background. But I need to make sure I'm adding them in. Look to see what kind of value you see. Now, one tip I have is if you add a little bit more blue, into the color that you have, if you still have some of your color, if you add just a little bit more blue, then it will make it look like that color is going back farther in space a tiny bit. Okay, down. There's several trees back here. The bottom of the tree. I'll make it the bottom of the tree. Okay, and then the light areas, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take this color and add a little blue to it. It will make it look like it's going a little bit farther back in space. I think what I'm going to do actually is make a little bit more, but with a touch of white too. Okay, now you definitely want the lighter part of the background trees to be lighter than the darker areas. What do I think? No, it's blending in, right? It's blending in too much. Okay. Lighter. A little bit lighter. That will help. Try again. Better. Okay, I can see it now. The top of those trees in the background. Okay, and I'm looking. I'm going to make sure that I can see the road. See how the trees look like they're kind of coming up over the road, and it's like, what happened to the road? What happened to, different things? Oh, I'm going to get a smaller brush and add some details as it's going back. Just a few more touches, because that is the area that our eye goes back to. So, if that's where we want people to look, it's helpful to have just a couple more details back there. I see some things. I'm going to put them in. Make sure my road is curving around. Add a few windows in here. Let's see, that's too red. I don't want it so red. Okay. Couple of windows. Yeah, like that. Not too dark, because otherwise it will look like it's punching out to your eye, but it's in the background. It's in the background. It doesn't have to be so dark. Okay. There's a few cars on the road. I like that idea, but I will keep the car very, very simple. I'm going to put the side and the bottom. Or the front, I should say. And then the top is lighter, kind of like the color of the road. It's light. Let's see. Oh, it looks kind of like a car. It doesn't really look like a car, but it kind of looks like the idea of a car coming down the road. Let's put just a bit more there. It makes it look like it. And it's like I'm just suggesting the idea of it, and then not so direct, not so explicit. Just, oh, it's kind of there. Okay. Now, I think that is about done. After I turn off the video, I might add a few more touches. I see a little bit of white showing there. I didn't quite finish the trees right there, and I'm going to turn this as well because I know that I've been showing it kind of at an angle. It's helpful to see it straight on. Okay. There we go. That is our painting for today.